all this, but Joseph is back.
Welcome back.
Daddy's home.
Oh, Joseph.
And I'm having a Hefeweizen just for you, buddy.
You probably
Oh,
can't see it. Oh, he's trying to look at it.
and
Sorry, he put it away.
I'm drinking a cup of tea from.
Oh, with the little baby. I love that
Nice.
It's
picture.
like the saddest face.
I love
Santa.
that. She's like, I don't
Nice.
want to
That's
sit
a
on his
legit
lap.
Santa.
It's
Oh, man.
literally one of those. I think it's one of those photos that every kid has to have at some point. Is like a sad photo of meeting Santa, where they're like, "Oh my god, this guy's so fucking creepy." Like,
I get him the up out of my face. Oh man. But yeah.
Hey, I gotta. I'm kind of curious about something, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. We can just edit this part out. But Cecilia was telling me about you had like got evicted from an apartment or something, and
Hopefully that was okay. I told him. I haven't told
oh
anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah,
do you
yeah.
feel comfortable talking about that? It sounded like it was kind of like some kind of a breaking point or turning point in your.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally comfortable with that. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
basically, I guess, yeah, leading up to that, so you're living this, you're doing your thing, living your dream party life and, trying to push the other stuff aside or whatever. But, like you said, I think life experiences, I'm the same way. I have like two regrets in my life, and it definitely wasn't like that kind of stuff because I think it helps, create who you become down the road.
Yeah.
But eh, I guess kind of how did that affect your life though? Do you feel like, and then how did it kind of move into that story that you did tell me when I was there before? Like, yeah, what kind of brought you to that point? And did you actually feel like I needed to make some sort of change in my life? Did you actually feel like, hey, like, did you think when you were by yourself, I don't need to party this much? Or was it like, I can party, but I've got to like have it more like controlled or was that not even a thought? I don't know, and kind of how did it lead into that?
Yeah, like I kind of like I was just kind of like blissfully happy, like just living the way I was living,
Yeah.
and then it kind of like just kept, it just sort of continued and continued, and then like those like sort of those moments in the mornings where I was just like dealing with like demons and shit, like in my mind,
Yeah.
then that was kind of like, I think I was almost like, because I built such a lifestyle around living that way and just surrounded by other people who were living that way, then it kind of, um, I like, as much as I thought, I kind of need to look after myself, then it was, I couldn't really do it. I couldn't really just like axe it and get out sort of thing. Um, so I think it kind of took for me to actually kind of have some sort of breaking point to like reset my perspective on like my lifestyle and stuff. So like, yeah, so that story was that I, yeah, so I was like living happy in like a shared house, and yeah, like I'd basically fallen behind on the rent, um and I was just dodging the landlord's messages, phone calls, and then just, yeah, because I was just, I just thought, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? He's just going to turn up and just demand some money. But then I'd basically been out for like the whole weekend, and then I don't know what time it was in the morning. I was heading back home. I turned up to the house and like tried opening the door, and like, yeah, basically I was like, the landlord had changed the locks on the house with all my stuff inside, and so yeah, so I'd been like, I was like pretty much on the streets that night, but I was like banging on the door and just trying to get my housemate to let me in, and
Were they not going to let you in either?
they'd been told by the landlord not to let me in,
Oh.
and so I, yeah, so I just sort of sat down on the step, finished the beer that I had in my hand, and then just sort of yeah, probably like smoked a spliff or something like that, and just like generally, yeah, just I was like, oh well, fuck this, and then and then my housemate, actually one of my other housemates actually came home, and like he had the fright of his life because there was like somebody sleeping in the doorway, and so it turned like I was like, hey man, let me in, and so he was like, oh yeah, I can't. So he got the landlord on the phone, and it was all sort of, I talked to him about, well, all my stuff's inside. This is like, yeah. So I said, let me in, and I'll leave in the morning. So then I went in. The landlord agreed to that over the phone. So then I went in, and yeah, I just kind of like had a bit of a meltdown and just smashed up the kitchen and just generally like lost my mind. And
were your
I like,
roommates, were they freaking out, or
uh,
were they asleep, or?
well, I'm sure they were all awake, but nobody, definitely nobody came downstairs to kind of be like, hey man, you can't do that. Like, that's our kitchen. Like, just don't drink my milk, okay? Like, that's, yeah. So I pretty much, sorry, I've just had a text message to say that I'm talking loud.
Oops. Try to wrap this up.
Yeah, so I like, I just kind of like, once that sort of uh once the reality had hit, like, of like I'm actually evicted, and like the adrenaline had worn off because I just smashed the place up, and then I just sat down and I was like, I just thought, like, I called my mum, and she came and picked me up, and that was a fucking horrible car journey back. Like, that was just like, yeah, pretty
But
awkward.
but what I love about that is I remember it really hit me whenever you originally told me that when I was there in 2018. It's like, no matter, there's something, and maybe not all people are blessed to have a parent like that. It's like, no matter how fucking mad they are and livid at you for whatever it might be, there's nothing like a mother's love. And I remember you telling me that, and I'm just like thinking, I was thinking about Jude, and I'm like, nothing would, like, nothing could stop me, no matter how old he is or whatever mess he's in or whatever. There's nothing that would stop me from going to him. Even if
Yeah.
I was going to give him a piece of my mind, and God knows I would give him a piece of my mind. So I love that. There's nothing like a mother's love, and yeah, your mom is a very strong woman, and
Yeah, that's it. Like, so like that kind of made it was just a really sobering moment, that was, having to like kind of like tail tucked between my legs sort of thing, feeling like feeling like I needed help, and then finally being somewhere where I could kind of get some, or just like, not necessarily help, but just support, like, because
right,
I like,
exactly.
it's like, it's not, I think, if I'm a fairly mindful person, but like, I think if you're a mindful person, then you can be the help that you need, but you just need support. And I think that's what a lot of think people, like groups and things, that, or people that masquerade in this like community, they like don't actually practice support for each other.
I
So it's
think
not
that's
try
huge. I mean,
yeah,
the difference between help and support, because like you said, we can help ourselves. You can help yourself, like you said, if you're a fairly mindful person, but you need that support around you too, but not the fake bullshit support. Like,
yeah,
you need the real deal.
yeah, that's
Big
it.
takeaway for sure.
So yeah, but and then I got myself back together. I moved back to Cardiff, and well, because I was still working in Cardiff,
Okay,
and so I was just traveling then every day.
man.
Um, but then I was staying at friends' houses, so it kind of like I was kind of in a supportive place, but then also like half living there and then half living in Cardiff.
Mhm.
Like, and yeah, so it kind of basically all came to a point where, so I met Becky.
Yeah, I was gonna ask,
Who,
did y'all meet at school or how did y'all meet? I can't remember. You told me.
she stalked me. Um,
That's how it
no,
is.
Nice.
so I was, yeah, I know. I've never had a stalker before, so I thought I'd marry this one.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was working in a coffee shop, managing it at the time, and then she came in one time and she was like, "Oh yeah, I come in here all the time," and I was like, "I've never seen you before in my life, and I'm here every single day." Like, so then I subsequently saw her every day afterwards, like
Wow.
coming into the coffee shop, and then like I asked her out to, so we went out, and yeah, basically just kind of started seeing each other, hanging out, hooking up, and then yeah, about maybe like 6 to 8 weeks after, like we sort of started seeing each other, then I was on I was on a bus back from London where I'd been to stay for the weekend with my friend, and yeah, she sent me a message saying, "Oh, I need to see you tonight," and my mind straight away was kind of like had an idea, and
You're
yeah,
like, wait a minute.
yeah. So yeah, so about 8 weeks after knowing each other, then yeah, we found out we were expecting our first daughter. I was like,
Wow.
holy moly, that's like, yeah.
So, what was that? Yeah.
Like I said, good seed.
Joe knows all about that.
No, it wasn't 8 weeks.
Yeah, well,
Okay, it wasn't 8 weeks for you, but so what did that make? What did I guess? What thought? What besides freaking out because we know that all of us probably have that little like oh shit moment. But what was that? I guess the thought process in your mind at that.
well, like I kind of like did have this like, I wouldn't say it was a freak out moment. It was like, yeah, it was just like that. Oh shit, like, oh, this, wow, what, this is actually happening. Because like, regardless of like uh other aspects of my upbringing and
Right.
the things that I've been taught, like, I don't know, for me there was no option B.
Mm.
Like, for like, you find out like you're expecting a baby, I was like, well, okay, if we're expecting a baby, we're having a baby type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It was just like that's like,
There was no question.
yeah, that's it. So but then obviously, like, for Becky, like, she, I mean, the way I was living my lifestyle, kind of like that she knew
Yeah.
me from, it's like, well, if you're expecting me to like go through with it, then like a lot of things have to change, because
Wow.
there was no way that I was ready to, like, I could barely look after myself, let alone like another small human.
That sounds like a
So
strong woman too.
yeah, yeah, that's what. Yeah,
So she kind
she,
of laid down the law to you. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
But she's like, hey,
yeah. So that was like, uh, that was that real moment where I never had a, I never had a real reason to stop doing what I was doing until I was like, well, if I'm gonna expect that of her because that's part of my ethic, like my sort of morals, then yeah, I've got to put up or shut up, like, and
yeah.
so yeah,
Damn,
that was,
son. That's good. Yeah.
yeah, so that was pretty much like what pulled me out of it, was like expecting Grace and like having her. So I s- sort of chilled out and just, I only drink like a couple of beers and like a week now, as opposed to
Wow,
like,
look at you.
yeah, I know, paying taxes, moderating my alcohol intake.
all grown up. And then y'all got married last year, huh?
Yeah, and